Hello, Chris from Channel X TV here at Landmark Global with Jonathan Matchett today. How are you, Jonathan, and welcome.
I'm very well. Thanks a lot, Chris. Thanks for having me.
So, we're actually bang on Heathrow's doorstep. I can see planes going past out the window. Why are you so close to Heathrow? What do you guys actually do here?
We are, exactly as you said, we are right next door to Heathrow Airport. We're here at Heathrow Logistics Park. We've got 91,000 square feet of essentially a facility for cross-border shipping. And we're here really because Heathrow is still the primary gateway both out of the UK to the whole world and indeed inbound into the UK.
So, you're here for cross-border shipping. We've got retailers that sell internationally. What can you do for them that they can't get just by shipping with Royal Mail or any of the other carriers? What can a company like you do that makes their job easier, more cost effective, more streamlined?
Yeah, good questions. Well, I think cross-border shipping has evolved incredibly over the last 10 years. If you went back 10 years, maybe Royal Mail, one or two others were the only choices in town, or you went to an express consolidator and paid an awful lot of money to ship a parcel overseas. That's changed really, and what we're really offering up is choice. Choice of different delivery services. It's fully tracked, it gets there fast enough, and it's cheap enough now. And I think as a UK retailer, people are aware of international, but there's still a case of if you just want to sell in the UK, you've got 3% of a global opportunity. If you want to ship worldwide, that opens up to 100%, and that's still enormous growth potential for UK sellers.
So there's something you said there that's really interesting, which is the choice of carriers for attractive end users. Can we just take one country like maybe the US, for example? If I want to ship to the US, I can pick a carrier and ship to the US, but how can you help me with that end mile choice? And give me some examples of where you can actually save me money and make it efficient.
Yeah, US is still a really key market for selling from the UK. And actually, if you're selling to consumers in the US, it can often be cheaper for those consumers to buy from you in the UK than it is domestically. The de minimis is still really high to the US, $800. And it's not the most complex market, but we can certainly help sellers most effectively ship and deliver to their consumers there. So we fly to 3 different gateways. We use 3 different services. So we ourselves are using a mix of final mile services, which are really tailored to particular weight breaks, particular zip codes, and it's offering that expertise to deliver across what's quite a big geography and give a consistent and uniform experience to your consumers.
So I'm thinking, if I've got a product that's say 1.5 kilos, you might send it to the US with 1 end mile delivery, but if it's 2.5 kilos, you might choose a different one because there's a better price point for that. How does that help me as the retailer? Do I have to sign up with all these carriers, or do I have to tell you which carrier? Do you just do everything for me? How does it work?
We do everything for you. As the seller, we're really here to simplify that whole experience. So we're collecting from you, we're processing, we can let you apply the final mile label, we can do that route optimization ourselves. And we've done the complex bit, which is to really work out, where your consumers are, which gateway, what zip codes, what service, what weight breaks to use. And it's not just for cost reasons. It just so happens that through working with a variety of final mile delivery partners, we know where their sweet spots are, we know where their strengths are, and that might be they're stronger in metro areas, it might be that they're stronger to the long grass rural areas.
And where do you see the big opportunities at the moment? Obviously for many UK retailers, typically we'd be talking Ireland, US, Australia because they all speak English, Europe because they're close, but where are the big growth opportunities, and where, not asking you to name any of your customers, but taking all of your customers together, where are the big growth areas for outgoing parcels?
Yeah, that's a good question. We ship to everywhere. Landmark Global ships to every country in the world. But if I was to really narrow things down, our clients are typically shipping to 15 overseas destinations. And they're a mixture of the markets, some of that you mentioned, have always been traditionally big. For language reasons, the US, Australia, Canada. Canada's big for us. We have our own final mile network there. or they're through proximity reasons. Ireland almost is an extension of UK domestic. There are differences and there are complications in clearance into Ireland, but Ireland's an obvious one to start with. And then the obvious ones in mainland Europe. So even with the complexities of Brexit, of IOSS, we still see really big volumes going to Germany, going to France, going to Italy, going to Spain, but of course everywhere in between. Now the last thing I would say is, don't overlook the high growth markets. Middle East is now maybe more on people's radar than it was a year or two back, but we're shipping to Israel, to Saudi, to UAE. We've just launched Mexico. Mexico, maybe not the most obvious, big e-commerce destination, but very high growth market.
What sort of goods are going to Mexico? Is it the typical fashion and tech, or is it other products?
Yeah, I mean, fashion that you mentioned, still overseas consumers, they look to the UK for UK brands, in apparel and footwear, and really, that you and I and any consumer in the UK might be looking for, or those overseas consumers are looking for similarly, high quality, interesting e-commerce products.
And talk to me about your typical customer and the behaviour you see from them. So, I mean, just about every brand and retailer has got a website that's transactional nowadays. Even the brands are doing B2C transactions. But are you seeing traffic coming from retailers' websites? Are they deploying websites overseas, or are they relying on other channels like marketplaces or even social media for actually getting those overseas sales? Where's the business coming?
Yeah, no, fair question. So, I mean, we monitor web traffic in terms from those overseas destinations back to UK websites. And what we see is the more sophisticated sellers have got destination-specific websites. Those consumers know where to look. And there's a big case for localizing that shopping experience, with language, with payment methods, and so on, just to make it as easy as possible for those sellers to buy from you. You mentioned marketplaces, and we definitely see a high growth in terms of sellers using that as a complementary channel. So in no way does it eat and cannibalize what they're already doing direct to consumer. It's just an additional sales channel. We've built really strong relationships with some of the marketplaces you might have heard of, with the Amazons of this world, but also with Wish, with Walmart, with Fruga, with others.
And Walmart, interesting, because another US one, and I know that Walmart are looking to the UK, especially for new retailers, so big opportunity there. But before I let you go, I kind of want to put you on the spot and ask you, and you're going to hate me because everyone does, what your predictions are, not for Q4, because that's almost here, but what's going to happen next year? And I'm thinking, we had Brexit, and it was a nightmare from a regulatory point of view, but to be honest, if you're going to sell to the US, there's just as many hurdles on sales tax and duties and etc. But we're also seeing things like EPR coming in, where there's environmental taxes. Well, I think they like to call them contributions, not taxes, but essentially taxes just on commodities and packaging. What's the next thing that retailers are going to have to be aware of, especially for cross-border? And by the way, we're going to get EPR in the UK sooner or later. I know that's coming, so it's not just a Europe thing, it's a worldwide thing. But where do you see the next kind of hurdles, and what can retailers be thinking about now to prepare for them?
Yeah, no, certainly. Well, I think the first thing to say is that regulation is here to stay. It's not going to go away. We see increased compliance, and some of that is for good reasons. So compliance in terms of data and that clean data flow for shipping cross-border. We're going to see a move from straightforward 6-digit HS codes to the need to really understand what each specific destination wants, whether that be 10, 11 HS codes, different compliance. And what I would say to sellers, to retailers is, don't let that put you off shipping cross-border, and work with someone who can take away those challenges from you, can take away the burden of that compliance from you. For us, it's almost a hygiene factor. They're just services that we provide along with the shipping service to make it as easy as possible to ship cross-border.
And finally, if someone wants to get in touch and have a more in-depth chat with you, because I appreciate this is quite a brief interview, how do they get hold of you?
Yeah, by all means, come find us on the website, Landmark Global, or look us up on LinkedIn. I'm Jonathan Matchett. Speak to me, any of the team, and we'd be delighted to help you. It's very much a discussion. It's very much a consultative approach to understand what your requirements are and we'd love to help you ship cross-border. Thanks.
Jonathan, thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot.
And I'm sure we'll be speaking again soon.
Wonderful. Many thanks.